Either one of the partners has become disabled or unfortunately has died. Sometimes the partner has become, unfortunately, divorced, which means that their share of the business can become part of the marital estate, and you may have an angry soon-to-be ex-spouse as part of your shareholder group, which isn't necessarily all that helpful. Sometimes there's just a disagreement on the objectives of the shareholders. Sometimes one shareholder wants to be in a lifestyle business, the other one really wants to just put pedal to the metal and grow the business as much as they can. And sometimes there's a different perception in terms of the relative contributions of the partners. Sometimes one partner feels like they're working harder in the business and contributing more to it, and therefore they feel like they should own more shares in the business or own it entirely. When you approach your partner and you say, I want to buy you out, they're going to understand it as, I want to fire you. The person's going to have their feelings hurt. They may be surprised the offer is coming. They're going to be shocked. They're going to be stunned. They're going to basically take it as a rejection, right? And so to the extent that you can, kind of be empathetic and understand where they're coming from and how they're going to react. Now, if you've decided you want to buy them out, you don't necessarily want to open the door to having them stay in the company, but simply be empathetic and understand that when you make that offer, it's going to be somewhat traumatic for the person that you're asking to buy out. I think another mistake that is often made in a partner buyout agreement is that the buyer's unsure about what price the seller would be willing to accept in the terms that purchase may take place. And so they often take an approach, what I call the shark bite method, where you know how a piece of meat kind of gets lowered into the ocean and a shark kind of takes a bite and goes away for a while and then comes back and takes another bite. And it sort of takes forever for the shark to kind of finish the meal, right? And the shark thinks that's great, but the one being lowered into the ocean doesn't think that's so great, right? So when you're going to buy out, don't offer to buy your shareholder out, your partner out, and then expect them to make the job easy for you. You need to have a concrete idea of what you want out of the company, what you want out of the deal, and hopefully formulate that offer in such a way that the seller, the potential seller, has a reason to go forward with the deal and not think that you're just trying to rip them off. It's a really bad idea to try to lowball your partner. In fact, I think you should go out of your way to be generous. Make them see that this is a good financial deal for them, maybe better than they would get if they stayed in the company. Because unless they've violated some part of the shareholder agreement, or unless they've committed a crime, they're not necessarily obligated to sell to you. They could just say, you know what, I like this company, and if you think I'm not doing enough in the company now, wait till you see when I just decide to become a passive shareholder, and you're still going to have to make dividends to me. And then I'm going to lawyer up, and I'm going to watch how you compensate yourself very carefully. I'm going to watch what you spend your money on in terms of travel and entertainment, charitable expenses. I'm going to make sure that we have financial statements that have been reviewed by accountants. I'm going to make sure we have board meetings that are very formally run, minutes, legal counsel, all that sort of stuff. Basically the stuff that sucks the life out of you wanting to run your business in the first place. So make sure that you're kind of being generous and make sure that your owner wants to eventually share your vision, your partner shares your vision about getting out of the company. The key is to not try to be the seller's counselor, right? And instead, when you start down this road, enter into it from a position of informed strength, which means understand what these shares are worth. Consider having a formal appraisal commissioned of the shares. In some cases, you may even want to share that. You may have to share it with them if you're using company funds. But even if you pay for the appraisal yourself, you may want to share it with a partner, because then what you're doing is you're adding some transparency, and you're trying to make a good faith effort, and you're signaling to your partner that, hey, I'm not trying to rip you off. I'm trying to make a deal that financially makes sense for both of us. And to the extent that you can, a business appraisal at a minimum can help you understand the range of value or price in terms that your selling shareholder might or ought to be willing to accept. In a best case scenario, you may actually get them on your side and make them a partner in the transaction when you're trying to find a win-win that is financially beneficial for both of you. So one of the key mistakes that many buyers make is when they come to this decision from a perspective of they feel like they haven't gotten enough out of the business relative to the effort they've put in or what they've contributed. You need to sort of forget about it, because the market doesn't care about the sweat equity that you put in, and trying to make a case that you deserve, quote unquote, to buy out at a certain price is really not going to be an argument that's at all interesting to the selling shareholder. The courts, generally speaking, are not interested in that either, unless, again, the person has either violated their shareholder agreement in some way or they've actually broken the law. So the best thing you can do is to put that behind you and swallow your pride and approach the entire conversation from a perspective of forgiveness. If you try to approach the buy-sell with an emotional axe to grind, it's not going to go well. It's going to make the seller defensive. It's going to make the entire process more adversarial, more acrimonious, much more likely that litigation attorneys are going to enter the discussion and at a minimum delay the process, and at worst wind up having this resolved in court, which is where nobody wants to be. I'm not hard to find. You can easily reach me on LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter, or on Facebook. My handle is @unblakeable. And you can always email me at msblake@bradyware.com.